Top 14, round 13 preview. Yes, we reach the halfway stage for the top 14, so the table is starting to tell the truth of the real positions of some of these sides, which makes some of these games pretty tasty. Top 14 is marketing itself as their Boxing Day round, the round 13. Clearly, it's not because we've had Boxing Day, but what is cool is that the timing of all of these games, so they're all perfectly spaced out, so you could watch every single game live, which I think they're all live on Canal Plus in France. However, unfortunately in the UK we can't get all of them. Certainly not live anyway. But we do get 4 live games on Premier Sport, and I say unfortunately because I would love to watch them all. I think all of these games are going to be brilliant, and the spacing makes it brilliant. But particularly the first one. The first one is the one that interests me most, especially as a Po fan. Because it's Po versus Van, and it's 13th versus 14th, so it should be of interest to more than just Po fans. That bottom of the table clash, the result will have big repercussions for both teams, whichever way it goes. You know, if it goes with the home team, then Van will be more than one win off just even getting into the access match slot. That's getting quite a big gap. And if Po win, they will likely be out of the access match slot. But if they lose, then they really are in the relegation dogfight. And they might even slip behind Van. So from a Po perspective, it's a must win game. It couldn't be much more must win. They aren't winning games from home. They've traditionally made the Hamo a tough place to go. And if they can't beat the weakest side in the league, then that is a huge danger sign. And will they win it? Well, the concerns with Po, as ever, are in 2 places. The injury list is still really long, and the pack. They got beaten up away at Toulon, which won't be a first or a last for teams going to Bayonne, but Van's pack has been brilliant so far this season. Makavunabola has been turned into an absolute destroyer at scrum time. And Van's tight game has been good all year. Poe's hasn't, certainly around the fringes of rucks as well. This feels all very negative from a Poe perspective. I think I'm a bit down in the dumps about, or just nervous about it. But it's obviously Van that are bottom. They were battered down to earth with a bump against Bayonne at home last week, soundly beaten after the euphoria of getting that first ever top 14 away win. Teams have shown that if they play with a bit of pace, then they can expose Van. And Po, at their best, play with frightening pace. They can get it wide, get it away from Van's strength in the tight. So it's a really intriguing fixture. I am backing my boys Po, the home record, the long trip for Van. I think that's going to be enough. The Hamo at Christmas should be a real raucous atmosphere. Rich is going for Van almost entirely to antagonise me. It's clearly worked. They should go full noise because this is one of their most winnable away trips. So they do have a chance, but could go either way, and let us know what you guys think. We go from my boys to Richard's boys, Cast. And I am going for Bayonne in this game, and not just to antagonise him. The sign that I'm not doing it to antagonise him is the fact that he is also going for Bayonne. Cast are still winless away. Bayonne are still unbeaten at home. Cast got very close to winning in their first 4 away games, and then they got hammered away at Clermont in their last away game. Be interesting to see what side they send as well, like how strong it'll be. Will Collier is out for 4 or 5 weeks, which is a shame and big for them. He's been brilliant all year. They could challenge Bayonne at scrum time and at line-out time. Bayonne's line-out, bizarrely, is very, very good at stealing opposition ball, but not great at winning their own ball at the moment. Has been picked apart a couple of times of late, but I think that's just a blip. It's been so good for the last couple of years, and Facundo Bosch returns too. They should have enough to beat Cast regardless. Their backline is looking great despite a lot of injuries, but they've got a bit of cohesion there. They've got the best player in the top 14 right now in Sorelli Mangala. He's also the top try scorer, but he's brilliant both sides of the ball, tackling and at the breakdown in defence. Great partnership with Manu Tuolangi is building there as well, so Bayonne should win that one. Clermont v Montpellier is another interesting one. They're 2 very, very good packs. Both sides have also got real depth at scrum time. So we saw last week with Montpellier, the guys that came off the bench were just as able to splinter Racing's pack as the starting props, which means that if Montpellier do decide to send a slightly weaker side, then they should actually still be able to match Clermont, who also are kind of rotating their scrum tight 5 quite a bit. And it's a big but, though, if they can, in terms of can they challenge Clermont away? Because Clermont are actually the best home record in the league. 28 points from a possible 30 is pretty impressive. They should have beaten La Rochelle away last time out as well. Bit of an off day for Benjamin Erdebajeta off the tee, which is rare. He's not going to make those sorts of mistakes again. I'd expect this game to be pretty tight. Montpellier's defence has been very good of late. Clermont's backline doesn't always let loose. There are signs it's starting to. Raka starting to hit some form. He's brilliant to watch. Rich and I are both starting to think Clermont are actually going to be proper challengers this season. And a win here will cement that. So we're both going for Clermont. Bordeaux v Toulon. So the Saturday night game should be a cracker. That should comes with a big caveat. The last time Toulon went to one of the title contenders to lose, they sent a real shag side and conceded 50 points. I think Toulon's fringe players, or the guys that aren't the big name superstars, are actually pretty good. But there's a big difference between pretty good and a full noise Toulon still. The thing about that Toulon is that if they are at full noise, they are one of the sides in the top 14 that could really trouble UBB. They've got such a ferocious pack, a really angry pack that does a lot of work. Bordeaux are a little bit flaky at scrum time, but for all that flakiness, they got a great result away at Cass last weekend. It was horrible conditions, really, really wet. The Cass scrum is titanic. You wouldn't expect them to win that, and they did. So they are clearly a team playing with so much confidence. The weather forecast also looks good, so UBB should have dry conditions to play their ferocious attacking game. We should see the return of Luku, Louis Bielbarré, Gazzotti. We may even see the return of Roman Buros after that injury in the Autumn Nations. Toulon are capable of living with that pace. They've got some brilliant defenders and quick backline as well. But UBB are ultimately devastating in short bursts. And if they can just win, they can just win games in an instant at the moment. And so we're kind of going with that. Like Christmas fixture at Chaban-Delmas, it will be absolutely pumping. So UBB to continue their unbeaten run. And then some Sunday afternoon games, which is a nice little rarity. Racing and Lyon, two sides that go into this quite wanting the first half of the season to be over, I'd imagine. Racing are at least back at La Défense Arena for only the second time this season. And the only time they've been there so far this season, they were back at their kind of rampant Parisian playboy best. So they'll be looking for a return to that again. The big news for Racing is the departure of Laurent Chavez. So he spent 10 years in charge as head coach, joint with Laurent Lebitte. He then moved to a kind of director of rugby president role in 2023 when Stuart Lancaster came in. He left this week. It's interesting that in the face of it, it's like interesting that he's the one to go and not Lancaster. But you kind of got the impression he wasn't really involved, and he's a very, very good coach. And he wanted to go back into that kind of coaching nearer to the touchline sort of role. So kind of like we saw with Laurent Lebitte at Stade, kind of he wanted to take more control as well. So there's rumours that Laurent Chavez is going to Bayonne next season, but it was an amicable split. He kind of wanted to feel like he wasn't giving enough at Racing was the sense I got. And Jackie Lorenzetti also in that statement did give a bit of support for Stuart Lancaster, which is, you know, in English football, if the chairman comes out and backs the head coach, then it's never a good sign. But I wonder if actually Jackie Lorenzetti is such a volatile character, you can kind of take his word for it on that one. But the off-field stuff probably unlikely to impact Racing too much on the pitch. Apart from whether they kind of want to play for Stuart Lancaster or not. There's still question marks over that, as shown by their discipline, which was dreadful against Montpellier last week and has been all season, to be honest. If they can sort that out, they should have enough to beat Lyon. They've got a good scrum on their day at times, anyway. Depends if they pick the Georgian props, they're pretty good. If they pick the French props, then like Benarous and Leclerc, they're not quite as good. Line-out seems to be going just about okay. Woki is in good form. The line-out can fall apart, not helped by the fact they've got two hookers suspended after one turned up pissed to training and one didn't even turn up. So Camille Chat and Yannick Tarrett. Lyon showed some positive signs last week. It's no mean feat to get to draw at Toulouse, whether you're home or away. They should have won. They were the better side. Leo Birdo had a rare off day with the boot. He's kicked some really key goals this season, and he missed a couple of tough ones, but he missed them quite badly. don't think he'll have such a bad off day again. It could be a thrilling game, though, the carpet at La Défense Arena, with the likes of Quiu, Montiuani, David Niniashvili playing. Niniashvili is on another level at the moment. He could run riot on that plastic pitch. They picked apart the Toulouse line out as well last week, so that's an area they might focus on and be able to disrupt Racing at source. Lyon are hard to predict because they've got so many parts that are very, very good, but they just can't seem to link it all together in one game. It's just bizarre. I think the return to La Défense shades this one for Racing. Lyon still aren't the best of travellers. Winless in their last 6 games in the league as well, which is quite a big, bad run of form. So we are both going Racing in that one. USAT v La Rochelle is a tough one to call, partly because we don't quite know what side La Rochelle are going to send. They've gone full noise for a few weeks in a row now, the 2 Champions Cup games and the game against Clermont at home last week. Some of those guys have had a big workload. So Skelton, Antonio, Wardy, Aldrit also had, all played in the Autumn Nations series. Wouldn't be surprised to see them rested. La Rochelle have not been good on the road for a couple of seasons either. So USAP have historically made Amy Giral a fortress. But, and I quote Richard in this, Perpignan have been pretty dog recently. They have 3 losses in a row in the top 14, drawn a home defeat in the Challenge Cup. So their last win was actually at home to Vannes on the 2nd of November. That's a long time ago. We were a little bit split on this, but Rich ultimately, he thinks La Rochelle have found form, but he thinks the fact that they are going to send a weakened side means that we are both going for USAP. It's a long trip for La Rochelle, still a few injuries as well, so they can't really send that strong a side. We reckon Brooksy and Georgie Berry, if they're playing, could get stuck into them at scrum time. Brooksy was really good against Stade Francais last week at scrum time. Possible return for Jake McIntyre. He was a brilliant player for them last season. Tommy Allen, in terms of kicking, feel like we've said this a few times this week, can't kick as badly this week as he did last week. He's a top-class goal kicker. Another tough one. We are going for USAP. Which way are you guys going? Let us know. And then what a way to finish the Christmas weekend, Boxing Day weekend, whatever you want to call it. El Clasico. Toulouse versus Stade Francais. So cool because they are the 2 grandest clubs in France. The 2 most successful sides in terms of Brenner Shields. One, obviously in recent years, Stade Toulousain have stretched out their lead over Stade Francais. It's also kind of slightly symbolic rivalry, so it's the kind of Parisians and the Southwest royalty, the Parisians and the Castellet Mafia, as they're called. You've got the Pain au Chocolat versus Chocolatine debate as well. Stade Francais should be in their blue and red kit, to really hark back to olden times and some of the classic fixtures that classic games this fixture has thrown up. But as much as you can build it up, there's a long distance between these 2 sides, not just geographically. Stade are improving in terms of their overall form, but they are the only side in the league yet to register a single league point away from home, so not even got a losing bonus. Sunday, 6 away games, no points at all is not good. Sunday night at Ernest Vallon is a daunting prospect at the best of times, even without stats like that. And Stag go there without Makalou. He's still banned after that horrific red card. Passanti and Azago come back, should give them a bit of bulk. But especially as they got a little bit of a working over against USAP last week. But still a few other key injuries like Huget, Briat, Irigoyen. So Briat's a real key cog for them, especially without Makalou, especially without Irigoyen. And they are missing Habel Kufner after he moved to Bayonne over the summer. Toulouse, on the other hand, the big boys return. They're back from holiday. Tony D is back from his partying in NYC. But also Ramos, Cross, Marchand, Entamac, they should all return. They should be putting out a fearsome side for that festive fixture in front of their home fans. Could be an absolute beatdown, that. I am going all home wins, partly because I do wonder about the desire to travel after Christmas. I know these guys are professionals. They won't have gone big over Christmas, but it only takes a couple of % to be off in the top 14 to have a completely disastrous result. And I think the home sides will be bang up for it in front of big festive crowds. Clubs are going all out on matchday experience by the looks of things. Rich is backing the boys from Northwest partly to antagonise me. He was also going to back La Rochelle, but again, the slightly weakened side means that he's not. He also can't ever bring himself to predict all home wins. So what do you reckon? Will it be all home wins? Will there be some festive parties spoiled? Let us know in the comments.